And after a 5-year gap, Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday renew hostilities in the league as they face each other at Bramall Lane, live on talkSPORT 2 this lunchtime. The Blades are on a 3-match winning streak and will be looking to continue their promotion push with another home win. In fact, Sheffield United have picked up 16 points from a possible 18 so far this season on their own patch and have won 5 games on the spin at home as well. As for the visitors, well, they got back to winning ways on Tuesday night with an impressive 2-0 victory over
2-1.
2-1, you're absolutely right, over Norwich. In terms of derbies, I mean, you know what derbies are like to be involved in, but this is a cracking one to look forward to.
Yeah, and the circumstances around the two clubs as well. You know, obviously been separated from Sheffield Wednesday being in the Premier League last year. Really tough season. Lots went wrong last year for the club. Big change in the summer.
Yeah.
And now got themselves into, second and third sort of position because obviously Leeds got a result yesterday. But Sheffield United can get level on top with Sunderland today. You know, which is a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. And with a 2-point deduction.
I was going to say that because it would be a slightly different story, obviously, that we would be talking about. We'd be talking about Sheffield United in third and looking to go top outright rather than being level on points with Sunderland. But, you know, we don't want to talk about this one, do we? In terms of we're not the best people to look ahead to this. The best person to help us look ahead to this Steel City derby happens to be one of the managers. It's the Sheffield United boss, Chris Wilder. Morning to you, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning, Natalie. Morning, Cass.
You do make me laugh, Chris, because when we spoke early in the week and I said about, would you come on? And I was thinking, I got confused with the day of the game. I thought it was Saturday, it was Sunday. And you went, yeah, I'll come on. And then I realised, you went, it was the day of the game. And I think, you're going to come on before the game, which is not the norm. I thought, that's Chris.
Anything for you, Cass. Anything for you, my old pal.
Well, we do appreciate it. I know we're not going to ask any team news or anything like that. You don't want to give the game away. But in terms of just the preparations, how's it all gone this week ahead of this one?
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic. We played at Blackburn last Saturday afternoon and then travelled down to Bristol City. So a midweek game sandwiched in between those that Blackburn game and the Sheffield Wednesday game. So I've got to say, in a way, took our sort of feelings and emotions about the derby game away from us, really, and made sure that we concentrated on getting a big result at a tough place to go, which we did a little bit. Not how we would have liked to have won it, but to win it in the 98th minute was fabulous for everybody, and the belief and confidence in the group is flowing.
Chris, I mentioned the Sheffield United of last season, a difficult season under Paul Heckingbottom and yourself and all the challenges. You made huge changes in the summer, ins and outs, loans. Tell us what your drive was of what the idea was behind the sort of team you were... Because you did this first time round when you left Northampton and got Sheffield United. You realised that there was a number of players you had to change or just a different dynamic.
Yeah, there was a few things that sort of was... that we looked at, really. I think there was a group there that had sort of come to it and the end of the road with us, and that is absolutely no disrespect, because what they achieved was incredible. Going, even some players that went from League One into ninth in the Premier League. So yeah, absolutely no criticism at all. But as you know, you have to make these big changes and sort of ruthless changes, really, to the group. It needed freshening up from a physical point of view. It needed freshening up from a cultural point of view as well. I think the first time, the good thing that I had sort of my finger on the pulse living in Sheffield and being a Sheffield United boy, made the club tick. What was good, what did the supporters want to see, what did good look like for us as a football club. So to get back to that really was key, bringing the group together culturally as well as physically. And, we've changed the way we've played as well. So I think everybody needed that sort of refresh and reset. Coaches, managers, and I think most importantly, supporters. And I think they're enjoying the football at the moment, which is the main thing.
Well, there's a big point there you've made, Chris. You've even considered the way you played, and how your ideas. Maybe this group needs to be playing in a different sort of system, because you were famous for playing that 3 at the back and centre halves getting forward. That was your style, but you've sort of changed from that idea from last season to a new idea this season. Yeah,
I think I don't think the word disrespectful is, but I think when you've been in management for the time that I've been, we've played all sorts of systems and formations, and you go on your pro license, and to pass your pro license, you can't just play one set way. You have to be flexible in terms I always think there's 3 ways to win a game of football. But to coach different formations, played 4-3-3 at Oxford, played 4-2-3-1 at Northampton. Started off as a 4-4-2 at Sheffield United, and then changed. We had loads of success with that, so the recruitment was based around that. But I think everybody needed a refresh in terms of the way we wanted to play as well. So playing with wingers. We play. People have said, "Well, you Sheffield United, Chris Wilder playing with wingers. You're kidding me, aren't you?" So we're trying to play a different way, but still the same thing. Cass, as you know, the bit in the middle is important, but what happens in both boxes is key to getting results. And our points per game at the moment is fabulous, and we'd love to continue that today.
You mentioned already, of course, and it is well known that you're a Sheffield United fan. When it comes to managing against them, you're unbeaten in 4 games. I just wanted to know how you deal with it as the manager, but also being a fan. How do you compose yourself? How do you sort of take the emotion out of it, or do you not?
I don't think you can, Natalie. Yeah. You can't, because you live in the city. The majority of the boys live in the city. They're getting it rammed down the throats 24/7, and you can't. You've got to be emotionally balanced in terms of the game. You can't go about it recklessly and be ill-disciplined on it. But you have to show fight, you have to show desire and commitment. But then you've got to play as well. So the fight has got to be there first and foremost, and then you've got to be nice and cool and calm to make those big decisions. So you can't commit, Natalie, and I don't really want to. I think the last time we played, one of the first games, I think Sheffield Wednesday manager said it was just another game, and to be fair, that fell right in our lap, really, when we went to Hillsborough and won 4-2. But I know Danny's not the same. He's been pumping it up as well. So, they had a terrific run last year to stay in the division. Our season was, as you said, well documented. So we're on a level playing field and all to play for this afternoon.
And Chris, you look at the game itself, and I love derbies, enjoyed it because there's many London derbies, and I can remember that game like yesterday that you played at Hillsborough. It was a real ding dong, but that's how it should be. On a Sunday where there's not as many games, it's just what it should. Derbies are there to be. Everyone gets on board and gets. The atmosphere will be brilliant. You're both similar clubs in many ways, because you get a similar capacity of crowd. You both have been up and down the leagues over the years. You've produced really good teams at times, so they're very similar.
Yeah, I mean, when Sheffield United first got back into the old First Division, Cass, in 1991, Sheffield Wednesday were a team full of superstars, Waddle, Sheridan, and Chris Woods, and all those players, and we were sort of the underdogs, really. So it swung, both ways for over 100 years, really. So we understand the history of it, and people will obviously put ourselves in the category of favourites for our league position and being in the Premier League, but that at the time, in terms of when we played that game in 2017, Sheffield Wednesday were this team that had been in the playoff final, in playoff semi-finals, and it was our first season in the Championship. So yeah, it was a terrific day for everybody connected to the football club, and one we'd love to repeat today.
So any Sheffield United fans listening in right now, then, what's your message to them? How important are they going to be to give you that extra advantage at home today?
No, I mean, I think you've touched upon it, Natalie. Our on record has been incredible. It's been it's been a real difficult 3 or 4 weeks for the football club, with obviously the passing of George Baldock, and off the back a couple of really difficult games to play. There's no disgrace in losing to Leeds United and Middlesbrough. They're two fabulous football teams, as you've seen, already in terms of their results. And I've got to say, the way the team's recovered from what happened emotionally with George, and what happened from the game's point of view, and losing them 2 games to win 3 games on the bounce, and going today looking for a fourth win. The home record has been fabulous. They've got right behind us. I think they're enjoying the football. As long as it's, it doesn't get out of hand. We want it to be an hostile environment. Like when we go to Sheffield Wednesday, I know it will be that hostile environment, as long as it doesn't step over the line today. And we represent Sheffield in the best way.
I hope you don't mind me asking, Chris, you touched on it there with the awful and tragic news of George Baldock passing away, and that would have hit you heavy, the whole of Sheffield United heavy as well. And I just kind of wanted to know what what you learned about yourself in terms of being a manager and how different maybe you had to approach things, because that's something I'm sure, and I'm only speaking as I assume, that you would never have had to experience before, and in having to deal with that emotion and the loss of someone that was so important to the club.
Yeah, George's personality really, and another one that had been on the journey. And I think people, forget about these relationships that the players have. And I was talking to Cass in the week about it. They're there with each other 10, 11 months a year. They're there at 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock. They're on a coach journey, to a game and to back to a game. They're fighting for 3 points, every Saturday and every Tuesday, and they're, so the relationship and, what we're trying to do is trying to create a culture that they're together. So, when the good times come, they enjoy it. When the tough times come, they dig in for each other. So these boys become like brothers. So, and for those boys to lose such a personality and a character in terms of what George was about, and his career as well. Came from MK Dons, went on loan to Oxford, went on to Northampton, come to us in first season in the Championship, ended up playing in the Premier League, ended up being a Greek international. His journey was, similar to the football club's journey, and he just represented us absolutely perfectly. So, yeah, it was tough for everybody. I've got to say as well, from Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, the way they handled it as well, the way they observed the minute silence for George and coming to Bramall Lane as well. I thought it just showed that the city's a special city to play involved in, and hopefully that'll be that same today.
Yeah. Chris, any prediction?
Cass, it'll be a long 2 weeks if we don't get a result, but it'll be an enjoy. I tell you what, it'll be lively tonight if we get that result that we all want.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.